There has been a lot of speculation online about whether Alex has been lying to Ashley throughout their relationship. But from what I have seen, this goes deeper than lying. And today, I want to unpack what I noticed and what it may actually mean. Hi, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor. I am always so grateful for those of you who keep returning. And if you're new here, welcome. This space is about understanding ourselves and our relationships in a deeper way. And if that speaks to you, I'd love for you to join us. And just as a reminder, I know that this is reality TV and it is heavily edited. I am not diagnosing anyone because that actually tells you very little about a person. I am just using what we are shown so that we can explore patterns and emotional dynamics that may help you reflect on your relationships and you as well. I'm going to walk you through what we know about Alex from his own words and how his life experiences may have shaped him in ways that go far deeper than lying in relationships. First, we're going to look at his story, and then I'm going to show you what I believe those experiences may have led to be the way that he shows up in relationships. And just to note, this video is not at all about the challenges that Ashley brought to their relationship. I did a video about the two of them if you'd like to check that out. This video is solely about Alex. And none of this understanding is meant to excuse his behavior. It is only meant to understand it. Okay, let's start right here.
But I called my stepfather my father.
How old were you when your mom remarried?
I was 2, I believe, at that
2.
time. Yeah, so
So your stepfather has been your dad for most of your life?
Yeah, they've divorced. He was not the greatest person.
How so?
Physically abusive, for sure. I did get beaten a decent amount growing up and didn't kind of have that love from him.
So at just 2 years old, Alex was beaten by his stepfather. So we're talking about a child who experienced severe abuse at a very young age. A child who was harmed by someone who should have been protecting and loving him.
I was an accident, to be completely honest. There was a question as to whether or not my mom was going to keep me because my grandparents were more traditional in that sense.
And there is yet another painful layer here, the question of whether his mother wanted him at all. When he talks about how his birth changed her life, he does not describe it as something meaningful or joyful.
Necessarily, I was an accident, which changed my mom's life.
Alex describes his birth in a way that suggests his mother's life was altered in a burdensome way, and that can leave a child carrying the devastating feeling that their existence was a problem rather than a gift. He is clear that he does not want to have a child by accident because he doesn't want his life to change in a way that his mother's life was changed by his birth. So when a child grows up with abuse from a stepfather, rejection from his biological father, possible feelings of not feeling fully wanted by his mother, what they can often carry inside is a deep level of shame. Not just pain, but a core sense that something about them is wrong, flawed. That is what I see in Alex. And just to be clear, Alex may not consciously feel that shame or recognize it in himself, but it doesn't mean that it is not there. What I do see in him is coping with that shame by hiding who he really is as a person from other people. Hiding can become a form of protection. That does not mean that hiding and lying cannot exist together. However, if you believe that the real you will be rejected, exposed, or hurt, then you learn to manage how others see you rather than risk being known and vulnerable. And this is an important distinction. There is a difference between someone who lies in a calculated way to manipulate someone and someone who hides, because being fully known feels dangerous. And Alex may do both. He may hide and lie, and that hurts people. But they do not always come from the same place. Lying can come from manipulation, while hiding can come from a place of shame, fear, and self-protection. And this is important to understand, not because it excuses behavior, but because it helps us understand what may actually be happening underneath all of it. And remember when he said this?
Eye contact is dangerous in my eyes.
For some people like Alex, who I believe hides, even eye contact can feel dangerous because being seen feels threatening and dangerous. When someone is terrified of being truly seen, they often hide, they avoid vulnerability, they guard themselves, and they stay disconnected not only from other people, but from parts of themselves as well. And it is very likely that he does not know himself very deeply because looking inward can feel just as threatening and frightening as being seen by someone else. If he were to look inward, it would likely stir up fear because he might come into contact with shame, hurt, or something that feels unbearable for him. And often, people who go through this are so disconnected from themselves that they do not even realize that fear is shaping their avoidance.
I don't really think I have any fears at the moment. I mean, outside of maybe sharks in the water, but that's, I think pretty normal.
It is not that Alex has no fears. We all have fears as humans. It is that his emotions appear so shut down that his fear does not show up in obvious ways. And from what I see, his greatest fear is not everyday life. His greatest fear, like I said, is being fully seen. That is why when he says again and again throughout the show that he is confident, I do not see this as true confidence.
I do feel confident in what I bring to the table, and I'm happy to show it.
I have no
You have to be
fears.
nervous about something.
I don't have to be nervous about anything. There's no nerves. Like, I sit here and I'm very comfortable, confident in who I am and what I bring to the table. And
So I see this as more of a shield, a way of protecting himself from what he fears is beneath the surface. With Ashley, he comes across as defensive, guarded, and emotionally closed off throughout their relationship. Sometimes what looks like confidence is not confidence at all. Sometimes it is armor. Real confidence can tolerate vulnerability, reflection, and emotional honesty. Real confidence does not have to continually be announced over and over again. And Alex does so, which suggests that the confidence is more of a shield, a way to protect against, like I said, being seen, but also insecurity, pain, and shame, which is all beneath the surface. And if you watch him when he shares with Ashley's father that he was beaten, not loved by his stepfather, not wanted by his father, and possibly experienced his mother's pregnancy with him as being unwanted as well, he shows no emotion while telling his story. To me, that does not mean that he has healed or truly come to terms with what he has endured in his life growing up. It means the opposite, that he has shut down so deeply around that pain that he has never fully explored how those experiences have shaped him.
I didn't have my father in my life, and that didn't make a difference.
It does make a difference, but he tells himself that it didn't because that is how he protects himself. So was Alex lying? Probably. But the deeper issue, in my opinion, is not just dishonesty. It is that he did not show up as his full, real self in the relationship. And that is what makes a relationship with someone like Alex so confusing. When someone does not show up as their full self, their partner is left trying to build trust, intimacy, and emotional safety with someone who is guarded, very well defended, and only partially present. You may sense perhaps Ashley did that something is off, but not always have the words for what is actually going on. And over time, that can leave the other person feeling lonely, perhaps feeling self-doubt, and unable to fully feel safe and trust their partner and the relationship. And the bigger lesson here for all of us is that sometimes the issue in a relationship is not only whether someone has lied, sometimes the deeper issue is that they are so defended, so shut down, and so afraid of being known that true intimacy never really has a chance. And when that happens, the relationship may look real on the outside, but emotionally, it never becomes fully safe or honest. Well, that is a wrap today. Thank you so much for watching. There's more to come, so stay tuned. See you next time.